have it for future. And let's go ahead and welcome Lauren. Yay! Hi. So we've got Lauren Teague. She is the founder of FoundWagon and is a digital and communications marketing expert. I am thrilled that she is here to be walking you all through optimizing your LinkedIn profiles, and I'm sure she'll be giving out all sorts of amazing information. And without further ado, Lauren, the floor is yours. We've got a nice about an hour or so, 50 minutes, I think, for you, and take it away.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Lisa, for the intro and the invitation to speak. This is officially my first UO guest lecture of the term, so thanks for having me. Cool. I was asked to present on kind of LinkedIn and optimization with a task, like kind of a task on AI and some of that. How does that sound to you? Is that what you expect today? Yes? Awesome. Okay. Let me just grab then my Canva. All right, thumbs up if you can see that. I'm going to reset my Zoom so I can see all of your faces. If you keep your camera on, it's actually really helpful to me because it reminds me that you're all still there. But if you have to turn it off to eat or whatever, okay. All right. This is a kind of a talk that I've been working on for the last couple years. I've actually been helping people since the pandemic really focus on LinkedIn profile optimization and kind of unlocking some opportunities that LinkedIn can unlock for you. So whether people were looking to kind of build their audience on LinkedIn, find a new job, find new clients, there's a lot of reasons why professionals are tuned into LinkedIn time after time after time and using this and prioritizing this as one of their main social channels. Now, give me a hands up or raise your a digital hand if LinkedIn is something that you are on like maybe once a week. Wow. Okay, great. That's awesome. That's more than I would tend to expect. But I think that's also kind of based on the level of this class. That's great that you're on there. Personally, on my phone, I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I'm on Snapchat, like not very much. And that's all you need to know about me as a millennial mom who kind of grew up with social media platforms. So want to take you through kind of what I would teach someone if they booked time with me over an hour, or if they downloaded a course guide that I built on really how to glow up your LinkedIn page. And yeah, this one's a little cheeky and fun. And so there's a lot of shiny diamonds in this presentation. You're welcome. So one thing that's important to know is like LinkedIn over the last 20-ish years, kind of since its iteration, it kind of came out almost like as an indeed.com, right? It was like where people kind of went to post if they were looking for a job, where people would kind of recruit from if they had someone, if they had a need or wanted to hire someone. But specifically in the last, I would say 10 years, from about 2014 forward, LinkedIn has turned their attention to becoming a more dynamic and engaging true social media platform. Not coincidentally, that's around the time that Microsoft acquired it and wanted to make good on its investment of that. And so what we've seen over like what you have seen as LinkedIn hasn't historically been what the experience has been. But right now, it probably acts and feels a lot like a social network that has been around for the last 10 or 15 years too, right? You log in, you have your own profile, it's got your picture on it. You can customize a little bit, but not too much. It's got a news feed. It's going to recommend content to you. Some of that content is sponsored. But there's some other functionality in LinkedIn that hasn't really caught on. And then there's some functionality in LinkedIn that they continue to kind of push and move. So these days, what we're finding is LinkedIn is clearly more than just a place to get hired. And it's even more than a place to just kind of spam cold contacts, although lots of salespeople do that. But it's developed into this place where, people are doing thought leadership or kind of putting their ideas out into the world, into kind of the business water cooler. Tons of networking can get done in the kind of front of LinkedIn in copy or in comments and that kind of thing, but also behind the scenes and DMs. There's obviously still hiring as you move on from school to into your first job, into your next job, into your next job. you'll realize that coming back to LinkedIn to reconnect with people is actually a really valuable space, right? It's definitely a place where, as my career has progressed, I've been able to connect with people kind of at moments in time and then come back around and be like, who do I know in Chicago? Because I'm going there next month. Who do I know that might be in this industry that I need to research? Okay. So I'm coming back a lot to reconnect. And that is something that you'll see happen over time as well. And then obviously a lot of business gets done on LinkedIn. There's a lot of selling conversations, a lot of pitching, a lot of things that are either what you're using it for or just kind of a bug in in that as well. In the chat, go ahead and put in for me kind of like what's the thing that you're using or trying to get out of LinkedIn right now? Like, is it because you have to for a class? Is it because you're looking to kind of like maximize your profile before an internship? What are you working on right now? Or why are you using LinkedIn right now? Okay. Thanks, Jack. Networking, expanding your network. Yeah, internships. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So just like everybody else who's eventually has to come to LinkedIn, um, this is a good way to do that and getting those connections up. Absolutely. Sharing experience, building a little bit of thought leadership. You can build thought leadership as a student. Like there's no rules, there's no applications that you have to complete in order to put your ideas into the world, no matter how old you are or how much experience you've had. So I think that is something that's really, really cool. Okay. However, you're taking notes, whether it's you write by pen or you want to do it on your computer, just open a notepad. You don't have to share this with us right now, but just kind of jot down these two things. I'm curious about what's your purpose outside of the assignment that's coming from Lisa. What is a purpose for you to add shine or kind of glow up your LinkedIn presence right now? Right? You said like kind of what you're doing actively. Is it something different that you're really trying to move towards? And secondly, I want to know what does committing to being on LinkedIn consistently look like to you? Is that visiting once a month? Is that visiting once a week? Is that popping on a couple times a day? Is it leaving comments or making your own posts or making connections? Just what is something that you could maybe commit to doing consistently at an interval that makes sense with all the other things that you do and want to do that. So you can go ahead and write those for yourself. You don't have to put those in the chat just yet. All right. So I find that when I do workshops like this or work with clients, when we talk about kind of why we're here, not just because you're required to be, but why you're here and what you want to get out of it, it really does help you focus on the one thing that you're trying to get out of it or something that you can take away from doing that. So awesome. Now, LinkedIn profile. Everybody knows what this looks like. Yes. Yeah. Anybody? Yeah. Okay. Anybody not being on LinkedIn? I actually forgot to update this. I actually had my browser open and I was going to slide in a new photo. This is actually what my LinkedIn profile looked like last year before I applied some of these learnings. So here's what I don't like about this profile. I don't love the cover image. My name is small. My logo, it's hidden behind the profile. It's actually not a great cover image for what I was trying to convey. Um, it doesn't have a ton up here in my headlines, and my headline is pretty basic. Marketing consultant, speaker, and founder, powered by collaboration. Like it's not super special. It doesn't have like a current job title because I literally have like four job titles at any one time, but it had that. The hashtags that I talk about is actually probably most useful, more useful than anything else. So this is kind of what my profile looked like before I started. In the chat, go ahead and rate your own profile on a scale of like 1 to 5. 5 being like it shines, people love it. I get comments on like something about my profile. To like 1 is like I set something up and I don't even have a picture. Like I have a profile. Jaden, 6. I'm going right to your profile. Check that out. Hannah, 3.8, which is really specific. Awesome. Okay. So 3. So what tells me like what a 3? Like you have all the basic information. Somebody come off of mute and tell me like what does a 3 mean to you? Is it you've got some things, but it could be better? Anyone? Anyone? What does a 3
I
mean?
would say I ranked mine at 3 just because I need to be better about showcasing my recent work there.
Okay. Okay. But you feel like you've got like the basics, like people can find you.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Anybody else? What's a 3 mean? Middle of the road. Slightly better than average. Yeah. Okay. All right. So when we're talking about a glow up, like there's a lot of elements here that we can actually like nip and tuck to make that profile stand out a little bit. And this kind of starts from the top down, right? So your cover image or your banner graphic, what photos you choose, the things that you write. So there is some copywriting here, but then there's also a lot of kind of like fill in the blank or assign this to my profile kinds of things. So we'll go through these in the next like 20-ish minutes. So you can see kind of at each step what are some of the recommendations for how to do that glow up. If there's something on this list right here that you want to know more about, can you put that in the chat for me right now? What is like one thing on this list that maybe you haven't gotten to on your LinkedIn profile or you don't know anything about? That would be really helpful for you to learn about before your profile optimization assignment. Personal statements, featured skills, about. Awesome. Okay. Banner graphics. Yep. I'm covering all of these things so far. So that's great. Anything else? Okay. All right. If something comes up, keep putting questions in the chat or raise your hand. I can see both. So it's not a big deal. You're welcome to interrupt me as we go on. Okay. So photos and graphics, the things that really like make it shine. I'm going to totally date myself here, but my second social network that I ever belonged to was MySpace. I actually had a Facebook page before MySpace, which didn't happen to most people when I was in college. But MySpace was awesome because it's how a lot of people in my generation learned basic like HTML skills and things because we all wanted to make our MySpace pages different. And if you've ever like gone back into the archives of the internet, it was truly a way to, you could change your color, you could change your animations, you could add your own sounds. But as social networks have progressed, like the features of making something your own have actually been stripped from us over and over again. Even the original Facebook profiles were way more customizable than they are today. So now everything kind of looks fairly the same and templated, and you get like very little real estate to actually customize and make your own. So photos and graphics are a way that you could really stand out in a visual way on LinkedIn. So the first thing, like the very first thing people see, and it does go with you in like search results across the site, is your cover image, right? So I'm sure 98% of you, maybe 100% of you use Canva at one time or another. There are over 7,000 templates if you just search in LinkedIn banners. So you don't have to worry about like really getting into the right size. I find that the most effective banners are actually ones that are well designed and not just like a photo, not just like a photo of your hometown or kind of or campus or you kind of on the job, but it's really a more designed graphical representation of who you are. So this one I love. Jay Bear is actually a mentor of mine, someone I've worked for off and on over the last 10 years. And Jay is a speaker, consultant, investor, and a digital business celebrity. And the update to this is he's actually the #2 followed tequila teacher on both TikTok and Instagram. So there you go. So he's actually updated his banner since then. But that's a lot to put into like one headline on LinkedIn and a lot of kind of different jobs you would have to put in there. And he pulls that all up to the very front and the top of his LinkedIn profile by putting it here in his banner. Jay's also really well known for the using plaid and plaid styling in his suits and in his presence on and off stage. So it's not a surprise that plaid is also in his banner here, as well as his personal logo to do that. Now, I don't expect that you're going to have your own personal logos or even like a specific color or style or branding, but this is a kind of a way that you can work towards maybe what that might look like in the end. And again, there's so many LinkedIn banner templates that will help you with your images. I would just say be careful on how you lay it out, because if I go back here, how you lay it out, right? Like I had put my own logo, I had put it let me do this right here, and it ended up behind my head when people go to my profile, and it was unviewable. And this font that is kind of cool, like actually was kind of hard to read, and didn't really work. So you want to make sure that you're testing things and maybe carving out where you're placing it so it doesn't get lost, the things that you want people to see. That's why something like this looks really good. And then your profile photos. Does anybody have, like, you have a headshot already that you're like, this was a fly picture of me and I'm always going to use this forever and ever until I'm like 40? Yeah. No, not so much. I wouldn't expect you to necessarily have headshots like professionally, but I'm sure that you have photos that are taken kind of on a more neutral background, or you can kind of blur out the back, even just sliding into portrait mode with kind of like a nice or top, or like a top that represents you, helps to kind of get that. So it doesn't have to be professional. Like the portrait mode on your phone is totally going to work for this. Um, when you're doing profile photos, like you want to have one on your page, because if you don't, it's sketch, or as my kids would say, sus. That's not, it's not gonna kind of show that you are who you say you are. And so we know that obviously if you have a photo on your profile, you're gonna get more views, you're gonna get more connection requests, which is great. These two pictures are from a, well, not so recent because I cut my hair, headshot session, but I kind of liked both approaches, but I didn't know which one to use for LinkedIn. So I used a tool called Photofeeler.com, and Photofeeler, you can put two pictures side by side and it will actually like pull the community. And if you're on Photofeeler and you sign up for free, you can actually even give feedback on other people's photos. But you could say like, this is for my business profile, or this is for my dating profile. Like you can, or this is like for a social network picture. What photo based on some characteristics that you are looking for. So I put these two photos in, asked the tool to round up like 20 votes, and determined which one might be a better fit for my own LinkedIn profile, because honestly I kind of like both pictures, right? But the one that is a more like serious face, as my husband or my kids would say, right, it rated pretty high in influence, but the one where I was actually smiling rated a lot higher, like almost 3 points higher in likability. So if I want to get hired by a client, or I want to be followed by people who are interested in what I have to say, I want them to think that I'm likable as well as influential and confident. So I went with this smiling picture, and I've used this more serious picture in other places, right, where it might fit. So using Photofeeler is a really kind of fun tool to kind of like hit or miss photos. Plus you can kind of go on and rate other people's photos if you want. Also consulting classmates. I'm sure like if you had a couple pictures, you could ask a few people like with a lens on LinkedIn, which one makes me look like I'm ready for my internship or a new job. You could definitely do that too. So some version of social proof is always really, really helpful here. And anonymous social proof sometimes works too. Okay. Thumbs up if you all have a photo that you could add or will be adding to your LinkedIn. And any questions on banner graphics or anything like that before I move forward? No? Good. Okay. Let's talk about copywriting, because several of you had talked to, oh, actually, Emma, where are you, Emma? Are you good? You said banner graphics specifically. Are you good? Was that helpful?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Few of you said personal statements about summaries. So let's talk about your copywriting and how that can also make you stand out. And this is a digital writing course, right? So that's kind of why you're here. Okay. Here's how I try to write, attempt to write at all times, especially for online. Uh, I introduced you to Jay Bear a little bit ago. One of his first books was a book called Utility, and it was all about the premise of trying to be helpful versus salesy in all of your online writing. So he was one of the first people who pioneered like writing um like help and how to's on content for content marketing and on blogs rather than like sales pages and landing pages. And this utility approach of focusing on helping others, answering their questions, and being inherently useful and utilitarian allows us to build more connections and trust and deepen our relationship with audiences when they find that. Because if you show up with as helpful with an answer to someone's question, then they're more likely to trust you in that moment and trust you going forward. So keep that in mind for all digital writing that you're doing, but especially when you're talking about yourself, because on LinkedIn is not a place to like put on the spotlight and the pageant mic and like rattle off all of your best achievements. It's actually more effective here to kind of almost look at it from like a third party or that second person voice of how you are useful and helpful to your audience and weaving in kind of their questions, their concerns, their needs as well. So when you are relevant enough to gain someone's attention and they're reading through, that how you write can actually build trust in that moment with your audience. So think about that. It's not about a spotlight on you in your words and about how great you are. It's really reflective of who you're trying to attract, what their questions or needs are, and how you can show that you can support that in that way. Okay. So jot this down. Again, it's just for yourself. You don't have to share this in chat, but I know that part of your assignment is to kind of build this part of your profile, right? Your headline and your about you. When I work with clients, here are some of the questions I ask them and we discuss together. So think about what problems or business problems or they don't even have to be business problems. What problems do you like to solve? What is your ideal position? What maybe for an internship or your future careers? And what are some of your current career or education highlights to this point? Okay, take a few minutes, write those down. I'm going to show you why that's important in a little bit. I just want you to kind of capture that for yourself. All right, we'll take about 30 more seconds and then we're going to wrap up your thoughts and hopefully you've jotted down something for each question. I have two examples coming up, and I wasn't going to necessarily do this, but does someone want help writing their headline or their about as someone who wants to kind of be the class example? Takers. All right. It's an offer, but I will help you do that with some but it does require you to put yourself out there a little bit in front of the class. So okay. So thinking about who you are and what you're offering is important. Jotting that down. Okay. First, you have your headline. Now, you saw mine earlier. It was consultant and speaker and founder and powered by collaboration. Here are some of my friends or people that I've worked with on their profiles and the headlines that they had that I thought were really cohesive and kind of really showed kind of a best practice here. So we have my friend Jenny Magic, that is her real name. Pretty good background. I love here that she calls herself a marketing therapist for teams with big goals. Like it's pretty specific. It's not her job title, but it is the problem that she solves for her clients. acting as a marketing therapist. I like how Jennifer Unilow puts out kind of these like career milestones or highlights in her headline. So global keynote speaker, U.S. State Department featured expert, angel investor. This means you know exactly kind of what you're going to get when you go to Jennifer's profile. Jake helps teams gain a competitive edge by improving their grit, leadership, and culture. And how he does that is through keynote speaking, as an author, and a performance consultant. So that's pretty good. He also has a great little profile banner back here. And Lorraine was someone who came to us without any sort of profile optimization and was looking kind of for her next career challenge. And so we put something that was a little more focused on the next thing for her. So we said she's a finance and operations exec focused on strategic outcomes for growing businesses. So again, it's not her job title. It's not the basic thing that LinkedIn's going to put in there for you, but it kind of brings together maybe what a problem that someone solves, their expertise, or what they're looking to do next, right? So in your headline, make sure you include what you do and who you do it for. And the best headlines are really short, like 120 characters or less short. Which if you didn't grow up in the days of microblogging, that could feel a little limiting, which is why I built a AI prompt for kind of building headlines. In all the AI prompts I'm going to show you, I break them down into kind of these 3 mechanisms because I think we can all learn to be better prompters as well. The way that the best practice for prompting is to determine the task, like assign the task, give it specific instructions of like how the output should read, and then include a detailed requirements or background information down the line. Okay. So you can see that I've kind of done that here. So the task for GPT is to create a compelling LinkedIn headline that quickly and effectively communicates my value prop to potential employers or audiences. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. The format is it's got to be brief. It's got to grab attention. It's got to be memorable in 120 characters less, which GPT can totally help you get there. And then what are more detailed requirements that I want to kind of embody here? This should emphasize my skills, my experience, and my unique selling points. Please include relevant keywords that align with the industry or my target audience, and you may include emoji if that's appropriate. Emoji in your headline actually really does work, right? Because it kind of does more communication work for you in kind of that non-verbal way. I would probably also, if I had an existing headline or those answers to the questions that I just had you write down, I'd probably include that in here as background information as well. Right? Here's a little bit about me. Here's some of the kind of the resources or the reference information that we should probably include in here. Okay. Does anyone want to test this out with me? Okay. I'm going to make sure.
Come on, people. Let's do it.
It's all
Somebody.
right. We
Come
got lots
on.
to do. We got
No,
lots to do.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
We are going to do, you will get the slides at the end so you can copy and paste this prompt or iterate on it if you want. Okay. Back to writing. This time you can do it in the chat if you want, or you can just jot it on that same piece of paper. When we're thinking about about you, we need a bigger picture. We need a more full picture of who you are and kind of what you're set out to do in the world, especially if there's any specific experience or approaches that make you unique and might call attention to yourself. So as you're writing your story, think about what challenges excite you, what's your solution or your approach to solve these. And I always kind of like to ask students, like, who has your dream job? Somebody actually asked me that once, and it like completely changed my perspective on what I thought I wanted to do, because they just asked like, who has it, and what can you actually learn from them? Like, if you followed them on LinkedIn, if you followed them online, if you read their books, if you had a chance to ask them a question, what would you want to learn from them? And I think it's a really good way to kind of position you as learners and students right now in the world. So Go ahead and again take a couple minutes and jot down some bullets or some answers to what challenges excite you, what's your solution or approach, and who has your dream job and what you might want to learn from them. Okay. As you're wrapping that up, I would love for you to queue up in the chat. Don't push enter until I tell you, but just in the chat window, respond with that your answer to that last question. Who has your dream job and what would you want to learn from them? Again, by following them online, reading a book, having a chance to ask them a question. Go ahead and queue it up, but don't push enter yet. Okay. Everybody got that ready? On the count of three, you're going to push enter and we're going to waterfall your responses and read through them at one time. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, come on. It works so much better with old people who are so excited to do this on Zoom.
Where's the waterfall?
Come on, guys. Want to see your responses.
This is such a great question. It has me thinking, such a good question.
Dream job is a big question that I'm considering. I want to find the right path.
Well, who has a job that you would love to do, right? Is there someone that you know of or someone you aspire to be, someone you've like rubbed shoulders with?
Brian Solis. I want to be Brian Solis, Lauren.
Ooh, yeah, that's not so
How
bad.
about that one?
I've rubbed shoulders with Brian before. I met
Right.
him. I met him at South by Southwest, like the first time I went. And so
I'm sure
there
no
we
one
go.
else,
LaShawn
no one else.
McCoy, Emmanuel Acho. I also know I know Emmanuel as well. That's fine. I'm 2 for 2. I also know sports agents, so I'm technically 3 for 3. You guys, there we go. Taylor Kaplinsky Rogers, the VP of comms for the Boston Celtics. Awesome. Hannah, I want you to go follow her or him. Go follow Taylor on LinkedIn. Like you should be able to follow their profile without asking to connect. That's a really great way to do that. Perfect. One step ahead of me. Thank you so much. Fabulous. Perfect. Okay. Well, I didn't intend to stump you there, but maybe that's a kind of a fun question to come back to as you're kind of writing your story. Lukeman, I don't know Lukeman. I do know NFL agents. So yeah, I think if you want to, if you can name the person, go follow them. If they're not on LinkedIn, go follow them somewhere else. Really, and actually what's cool about that is on social, you can ask the questions and you can tag them in things. And if you're respectful and you ask good questions, the chances that they'll eventually get back to you are actually pretty good. I did this early on in my career too, when I was studying PR and was studying coming out and trying to figure out how to do it in the real world. And people like Peter Shankman and Brian Solis and Jay and these other people who are 10 years ahead of me in my career or further on where I wanted to get to, they took the time to like answer questions that I had just because I had connected with them online. So it's a pretty cool way to do that. And if you play in the comments and of people's posts and really respond, especially on a platform where there's not a lot of people right now, like a Blue Sky or a Threads or something like that. Like I'm trying to get my startup like pseudo in front of Mark Cuban. I keep following him from platform to platform to platform so I can comment and like on things so that eventually he might check out my profile too or answer me back, right? It's still a strategy that I'm willing to use. So try that. Okay, your about yous. Best practices here. 3 to 4 paragraphs, like well written, well crafted, line breaks, paragraphs. Using story in this will set you apart from everybody else. Using story that invokes like second person storytelling will really set you apart in that way. You don't have to reiterate everything that comes like down the line. You don't have to copy and paste your resume in your about. In fact, don't, right? Tell a story or call out an experience that's really, really helpful, but you don't have to say, first I was here, and then I was here, and then I was there. And we like these 3 P's, right? That personal story or even an antidote. I have literally had like quotes on my desk since college that I literally still have on my desk. It's kind of weird, but go into the world and do well, but more importantly, go into the world and do good is a card I found when I was probably like 19, and it has followed me everywhere. This goes, it's an antidote that I pull in to how I talk about myself and what I believe like needs to happen in the world, right? That's a philosophy or an antidote that I can tell. Or I can even take that and use it as a passion, right? Like my passions are to do well, like financially and with success, but also give back and also lift underrepresented communities and be a supporter of women in business and these things, right? So all of that can kind of come out in your about you. It doesn't have to be a reiteration of your resume. My friend Shannon, I thought this is a pretty good, I did not work with her on this, but I really love this version of hers. It shows what like good writing can do, formatting, line breaks, etc. And you can tell this is not a written in a first person, like this is about me kind of thing. Even though as you read on, you realize, it takes her 1, 2, 3, 4. The last paragraph that's here is when she actually says she used to be a professional NFL cheerleader. But she doesn't start there. She starts with how she makes people feel, the problems that she solves, how she kind of steps into her role as a speaker, where she's from, how she presents, how she solves problems for people, and kind of what her clients get when they hire her. So it's a really nice version of an about you that is shines a spotlight, but not directly on her in that way. Here's another GPT prompt you can use for GPT or Claude or whoever. Again, the task being really specific. Your task is to help me create a LinkedIn about section bio that consists of 4 paragraphs. Now, use your discretion there. You might want to say 3, you might want to say 5. No problem. Okay. Here's the format. You can include 3 supporting bullets at the end of the about to summarize key points. So that's a really easy way to kind of break up longer paragraphs or longer pieces of writing. If you can use those bullet points to either summarize or somewhere in the middle, like break that up is really helpful. You can give it cues on tone. So kind of the basic ones we start with are professional, but not stodgy, compelling, but not exaggerated, friendly, but not casual. If you have your own brand voice and tone, you can insert this here as well. If you've seen me speak before, we've probably worked on that at some point. My bio should be captivating to my intended audiences, like fill in the blank. Who are you trying to reach? I'm trying to reach a hiring manager, an industry professional, fellow students. Like, who are you trying to reach? They're on LinkedIn. And additional requirements, start with a personal story or anecdote. Should sound familiar from the last slide. Continue with my experience thus far and end with a philosophy statement for business or a passion for an idea. And then you've got to give the AI like what those are. So again, you've already written some of that out. And if you have it or you have a current bio, put it all in there as reference material so it can generate this for you. Okay. And this is a pretty good way to do it. Does anyone want to take a stab at that with me? We can do it live. No.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I guess.
You guess? I'm convinced. Okay, hold on. Give me a second to flip to a different window. You can guess. All right, Jaden, do me a favor and push some of those answers to those questions into chat, or you can just direct chat to me on Zoom so I can set them up in my GPT for you.
Wait, Alfred. They were kind of moving fast. I'm kind of like a slow writer. Could you put the questions back up?
Okay, let me do yeah, so give me a write down a couple like highlights thus far of your educational experience or your experience on campus or your internships.
Okay. And you wanted me to like put all that in the chat.
You can put it in give me a second. You can just talk to me about it and I will see. I was not actually prepared for this, but I got it.
I mean, yeah, I can talk you through it, I guess.
Yeah.
This is
All right.
awesome. Time goes by so fast, Lauren. I do want to say we have about 6 minutes before this class
Okay.
is over. Now, of course, we can go over, but I know
Okay.
some
Sorry, I thought we were
folks
going to the top of the hour.
no, some folks can stay, but there are a few that do need to hustle to another class. So I just
Okay,
wanted
let me do this. Jaden, I'm going to do this with you later. We're going to set some time. We're going to do it later. Since you offered
I
to,
used to, you came and spoke to us at Oregon Accelerator, so I know you a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, I was there, Oregon Accelerator.
Okay. All right, let me share this one. So we're going to go. There we go. All right, this is back. Jaden, I'll do this for you. We'll do a little like one-on-one call later on. Okay. I'll help you with your about you prompt since you volunteered here in class. Okay, that was on me. That's my bad. I didn't know what time you got out of here. Okay, let's move on. Thumbs up if you got kind of what you needed to know around writing your about you, writing your headline. Yeah, feel good about it. Any questions there? Okay.
Could you go over the
Yeah.
3 Ps that you had listed for the About You section?
Yep. So
I
your
wrote half of it, but I
story,
didn't get all of it.
yeah, your personal story or an anecdote. An anecdote is just kind of like something that happened, right? A small story you can tell. Your work or business philosophy or your philosophy for life. Could be career oriented or just how you kind of expect the world should look. And your passion for an idea or a goal that you have. Good.
Thank you, Lauren.
Awesome. Okay. The rest of your LinkedIn profile is not as customizable, but it can be pretty important. Your experience, putting in where you've worked or where you've volunteered or where you've gotten experience is important, especially as you're just starting your career. You want to put in things that even if you didn't like get paid for them, but they were valuable pieces of experience for you. So if you've been a content creator, if you volunteered or been part of a student organization like the Accelerator or AHPR or another student organization on campus, like you definitely want to put those in there. If you've been a brand rep or an ambassador, our startup Fan Wagon hired a handful of students last year or last term to be brand ambassadors, and that was actually we want to see that on their LinkedIn. We want to see that they're showing off what they did on our behalf. Maybe you have a podcast or a blog or a way that you're creating content that's not on social, put that there. And if you're a reoccurring volunteer and you're giving your time, maybe as like a smart reader or, the one race that you always go back to and volunteer the start finish line, like those things count too. So go ahead and put them on, especially as you're kind of building your experience. Some of that's going to be more relevant and valuable to put on versus like your retail job or your Starbucks job or that kind of thing too. So really think about how you want to position your LinkedIn like you would position your resume as well. And then when you round out some of the details, so like featured skills is one that we see is really underutilized. You can add your own, or you can kind of take what LinkedIn suggests as skills, and you can actually tag skills to your education and some of the experience or work that you've done. And then there's also a lot of technical skills that have actual assessments on LinkedIn. So if you've used specific software or you think that you can pass one of these technical assessments, You could first do a LinkedIn Learning course and then get the completion and then take the assessment, or just, try to do the assessment for like Google Analytics or some other things that maybe you built your skills up in. And those technical skills are not ones that you can just say that you have. Like, you have to actually pass that assessment, which is pretty cool if you can do that. And then don't forget that you can kind of drag and drop how those are displayed. For example, for the beginning, most of my career, people know me as a quote unquote social media expert. It is like the last thing I want to be known for, even though I keep still getting recommended or like endorsed for that skill. It's at the bottom of my skills because I do not care if people hire me as a quote unquote social media expert anymore or anything like that. So you can actually change how and why people see what they see. Okay. Recommendations. Ask people that you've worked for or people that you studied with or even professors for recommendations. Your university might have a policy on that. I don't know that for sure, but maybe. And the best way to get a recommendation is kind of seed it by saying like, will you write a recommendation for me specifically around these things? So maybe it's a project, maybe it's something that you completed, maybe it's an achievement that you had. This is an example of a past client coming to me asking for a recommendation, and she was really specific. So of course I wrote the recommendation following these things, which was really, really, and take another step forward, write the recommendation for that person before you receive one, and you're more likely that they're going to reciprocate on that. Some other things that you might want to do: your media, your honors, your experience, your languages, your test scores, like all of these things you can also roll in to your thing. And let's see, that's it. But I want to give you this. If you want the slides, and Lisa, you can give this out as well. And grab that QR code and just give me your email address, and I will, when you're done with that, it will pop a link to the Canva so you can get the slides. We got through everything, but that way you can get back to it as you're working on your assignment. Full stop. I'm really sorry. I really thought we had more time. So
no, that's on me too, Lauren. And we certainly can take questions from those that want to stay around for a few minutes. Lauren, that was amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Everybody, please scan the code. You're going to want what she's given out. So please make sure you get that. And Lauren, I can try and take a screen grab, or if you want to send me the slide, I can post it in Canvas for everybody later so they can have it.
Okay. Actually, this link works too. So that link will get you there.
Oh, beautiful. That's great. That's perfect.
Awesome. Well, good luck. I know you have
Yay.
a big assignment coming up specifically on this, and part of that is to evaluate each other. So hopefully you've got some good information on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, I'm expecting some good LinkedIn profiles now. Lauren gave you so much great advice, so the bar is going to be set really high. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah. Well, any questions, everybody? So keep in mind, no class on Monday. It's a holiday. I'll see you all here. It will be online Wednesday for Tech Week. We'll set up those blogs. Get your assignment in on Sunday, and I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day and a great weekend.